Hello everyone! Today we're going to explore the amazing world of ancient Egyptian art. For thousands of years, the Egyptians created incredible art that reflected their beliefs and way of life. They built towering pyramids, painted beautiful tombs, and carved amazing statues. Get ready to be amazed by the beauty and creativity of ancient Egyptian art. Ancient Egyptian art spanned close to 2,800 years of history. From when Egypt became one country around 3100 BC, when Alexander the Great took over in 332 BC. The five periods of ancient Egyptian art. First, the early dynastic time period, then Old Kingdom, Middle Kingdom, New Kingdom, and Late period. There are three things you'll see in all of ancient Egyptian art. First, tombs, next, temples, and timelessness. These three things are all connected to their stories about gods and their religion. We find a lot of Egyptian art in tombs. Most of their art is about tombs. They were buried in tombs. They were painted on tombs wall. They were so focused on what happened after death that they put a lot of effort into their tombs. Temples are another place where we find a lot of Egyptian art and the style they use. Temples were really important to them. They went there to pray, to learn, and to give gifts to their gods. The last thing is timelessness. They believe their culture, their art styles, and their way of doing things would last long time. They also believe that they, as people, would live on even after death. The early dynastic period is when Egypt first became one country. Before that, Egypt was made up different cities or groups of people who kind of worked together. But when the early dynastic period started, they all came together as one. The upper and lower parts of Egypt were ruled by one king. During this time, people thought gods and kings were basically the same thing. This is when they decided how Egyptian art should look. It's like they made rules for what Egyptian art should be like. They used mathematical equation to figure out the best way to draw people. They made legs longer and bodies a little shorter. Next, the composite views. They also drew peoples in way that combine side and front views. You can see the mostly in their faces. Their heart are shown from the side, but their eyes are shown from the front. You can see the whole eye, but not the part of it. Another characteristic and canon in idea of a geometric shape. They did use shape like triangles. You can see triangle shape in the body. They use a lot of geometric shape in their art. And last was idealism. They also wanted to show people are perfect. They use clothes and symbols to show how powerful people were. You can tell who is important by looking at their clothes and symbols. The most famous art piece that comes from the time period is the Palace of Narmer. This piece of art shows when the upper and lower parts of Egypt became one country. It's about tombs, temples, and timelessness. It also shows how Egyptian art is supposed to look. The art might show the goddess Hathor, who is important for the afterlife. You can see hieroglyphs in the middle. The king or pharaoh is on the left side. The people around him are much smaller, showing how powerful he is. On the right side, if you look closely, you can see pictures of dead people. This shows that Egyptians believe in life after death. On the other side of the palette, you can see how big the king is compared to everyone else. The king is drawn using rules of Egyptian art. You can see the side and front of views combined. The king is much bigger than everyone else, showing how powerful is he. The king is shown as perfect and beautiful. He has weapon over his head, which is a symbol of power. All of the art is meant to show beauty and power. This side of the palette shows how the Egyptians used art to create a picture of their king as a powerful and perfect ruler. The Old Kingdom was time when they built really big tombs called pyramid. The pharaohs built this pyramid to be their final resting places. This picture called Khafre enthroned. Khafre was the king who owned the pyramid, and this picture was found in mortuary temple. A mortuary temple is a place where people could go to worship Khafre after he died. So, we're looking at here is a carved stone statue. You can see there's no empty spaces between his arm. The arms are still attached to his torso through the stone. It's very hard to destroy and will last long time. There's a hawk at the back of Capri's head. This is Horus, and he is a god and he's literally supporting the neck and the head of Pharaoh. The Middle Kingdom was time Egypt was in trouble. The country was split into two parts, but the pharaoh named Mentuhotep brought the country back together under one rule. During the Middle Kingdom, artists started to make their art look more real. They still made pharaohs look perfect, but they started to show more human features on their faces. One of the most famous pharaohs who was shown this way was Senusret III. If you look at his portraits, you can see that his face shows emotion. His eyes are kind of closed, and his cheeks are little droopy. This shows that Egypt was a tough time. The pictures of him show that he was tired and careful.
New Kingdom is the ancient Egypt that we know. These pharaohs, whose name we recognize, are maintaining this canonical order, except one, and his name is Akhenaten. His reign was only 17 years long, and in those 17 years, he drastically changed the social, political, and religious climate of Egypt. First, politically speaking, he moves the capital further north, away from Thebes, and called it Akhenaten after himself. Second, he changes the cultural life and artistic style, and his son, King Tutankhamun, sometimes called King Tut, and he changed everything back to how it normally was. And this is our last ancient Egyptian period. It's called the late period. This time period is a period in which the country was in the hands of foreigners. The Nubian first conquered Egypt, and then you have the Persian, the Macedonians, the Greek, and the Romans, and they all come in and kind of take over Egypt. Now we're focusing in this theme of timelessness of the canon, of how this characteristic didn't change much. Now you can see in my side, this picture is Mummy Egyptian portrait, where we got some of this Roman painting style, Byzantine style, Christian style, merging together the speak portraits of the person who's been mummified. So this is an identification piece. Thank you for watching.